All right, guys, I'm working a little bit in somewhat dark conditions, but hopefully you can see this. I'm going to show you how to do a quick test of your converter. I've got my multimeter here, and I'm on the DC side of 20. I've got my AC plugged in outside, but I'm going to shut off the converter here. You can see in my case it's joined by a pigtail. Yours probably is too. Mine's on the refrigerator side also. So then I'm going to remove these two main 30 amp fuses here. And what I'm wanting to do now is get a DC reading on the converter, positive and negative. So I'm going to have to get down here, and I'm going to have to probably put this down, but you see the converter positive, and then there's a converter negative. I'm going to read that, and depending on what batteries, if you have lead or lithium is going to give you a higher reading problem, but I'm looking for starting at around 13.2 up. So let me take a test here. I'm about to put this on pause and test it, and I'll come back. Now, before I take that reading, after you remove the 30 amps, I do need to turn that back on, the breaker, and then we're going to now test the positive converter and negative for that reading. Stand by. All right, you can see I'm getting a reading of 13.58. As long as you're 13.2 to 14.4 on a lead acid battery. See there? A positive on the converter positive, negative on converter negative. Then that test. Now I'm going to do a battery positive, battery negative test. The same process. I'm going to get a reading, and I'll come back and show you. Okay, so now testing positive against negative on the converter. My batteries are charging. I'm at 12.89. So now notice that my two 30 amps are still out. I'm on 110. I tested both. So this is a good converter. Now it's charging the battery because I've had it off for a while, so it's charging. So it will charge it up now. But let me explain to you what would happen if on that first test where we did the converter positive and converter negative, if you got no reading there, there's 99% probability you got a bad converter. On the other hand, if you do the reading, this last reading with the battery, and you get no reading, you've got a break somewhere between here and your battery. The converter is probably good. So you've got to track down and find out where the problem is in your battery connection from here to the batteries. Now, a lot of coaches, there's an inline fuse in the battery itself. If you get down under your battery cage and look, you usually can find it, or trace your positive cable down until you find a point and test that. It's that's probably your problem. But now on an Itasca Navion like I've got, the only break is at the silent switch at the coach door, and that's tied into a solenoid under the seat, the passenger seat. And you'd want to test to make sure there's no break there, and test the fuses on the passenger seat. That's probably where your problem would be. Now, of course, also don't forget that ultimately you have to check all of your fuses, including these 30 amps, to make sure, because a lot of times it may just be a blown fuse, particularly the main fuses. These reverse polarity fuses is all designed to protect you in case you were to miswire the battery. Instead of damaging your converter, it'll blow a fuse. So you'd want to make sure you checked all of them. But that's an easy way for you to check your converter to make sure it's working. So, alrighty, once again, thanks for watching.